Number 8 on our list goes to 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird by Wallace Stevens from 1923. Stevens was born in 1879 in Pennsylvania. He worked a day job as an executive for an insurance company and then just wrote poems in his spare time. He walked 2 miles to and from work each day and composed poetry in his head during the walks. Occasionally, he wrote things down on scraps of paper and gave them to his secretary to type out. Stevens became known years later as holding fast to the belief that poetry and the imagination could replace a faith in God. We're back in the 1920s in this age of imagism and cubism and a fracturing of perspective. Each of Stevens's 13 sections in this poem feels like its own little poem, a kind of haiku, even though only 3 of them meet the traditional 3-line form. The spirit of this poem, too, feels very Zen. There's a connection to nature that is immersive. Stevens puts his mind literally inside the same space as the blackbird. I was of 3 minds, like a tree in which there are 3 blackbirds. The observer and the observed become one. There's a beautiful sense of unity here. A man and a woman are one. A man and a woman and a blackbird are one. And in section 8, I know too that the blackbird is involved in what I know. At the same time as perspective fractures, Stevens's vision unifies. There is no separation of things. All is part of a cohesive whole. Each one of these sections could be meditated on and discussed at length. In fact, they all feel to me more like meditations. Section 7 is biblical in its tone. Section 11 and its glass coach feels like a fairy tale. But all of the sections are an event, a happening, and each one is also a kind of epiphany. Each one wakes us up, forces us to look at the reality we've been seeing again, and to see what we've missed. They aim to invoke in us the first step, perhaps, to what is known as Satori in Zen Buddhism, experiencing our own essence, our own true nature. The blackbird is not an other, but rather a reflection of Stevens's mind. Nature mirrors his existence back to him. We feel slightly changed reading this poem, and we don't know how, just that we are. Section 10 is quintessential Stevens. At the sight of blackbirds flying in a green light, even the bawds of euphony would cry out sharply. Aside from this section, Stevens doesn't use anything flashy in vocabulary or style. He lets the simplicity and depth of his plain-spoken words carry the weight. It was evening all afternoon. It was snowing and it was going to snow. The blackbird sat in the cedar limbs. So good.